I normally go to the gym, and when I normally go to the gym, I do certain things that normally would do, and so I would work out and do certain things, and and some of you get on the treadmill and you're doing your walking, but you ain't really got it on 8 or 5. You got it on 4 and 3, and you're still talking. You're not really sweating, but you're doing something, and things are moving, and everything is going on. And every now and then, I decided I'm gonna do something new. I'm gonna do something that I never really it's not in my regular routine, and so I decided to go on that side. And I saw somebody doing a particular workout, and they was turning all around and doing. I don't normally do that. I normally stay firm, and stay grounded. I normally do my thing, but they were doing some acrobatic stuff, and I'm over there, and I'm impressed now because it looked like it's working the obliques or something. I don't know what it is. And I ain't worked my obliques out in a minute, and I'm looking over there. I said, let me go on over there and see what that's working about, And I just want to say, stop copying people. Their journey is not yours. Got to stop copying people. I walked over there and I waited till he moved on, and I went over there and started doing some things, and for a while I was doing good. I was doing good, and I saw him snapping it, so I was snapping it. and so he was doing the thing, and after a while, afterward, I felt real good. I went on with my day. And so I was reaching for something. What I'm trying to tell you is I don't normally turn around like that. And so not consistently. And so with that, I reached for something and I said, ow. I said, ow, that hurt. That hurt. And so have you ever been walking? And then you just felt like a cramp was coming? And you gotta go sit down. You gotta go sit down somewhere because something's happening. Your body is conjecting, and it's rejecting what you just did. And so I had to go sit down somewhere. I said something happening to me. And so I thought everything was okay. I kind of slowed down my movement. I got up the next morning. And so normally, you reach out and you touch the. But what you don't realize, some of you don't realize that when you do that, you need your stomach muscles to do that, And then I learned, and so I reached out and I said, something's happened, and I realized, I said, wow, I normally work out. Like I'm not. I didn't quit for 5 years and come back today. Like this is like I'm normally here, but I don't never go to that side though. I normally stay, and I'll hit some stuff, and I work hard, but when I work hard over here, I'm not doing all that, I'm not doing all of that over there. Like, I don't do them classes. You know what I'm saying? I see them jumping around. I don't do the classes, and I don't normally go over there. And so now I'm hurting. My body is hurting. I'm serious the rest of the day. Like I'm concentrating. Brother Williams, I'm good. My body is hurting, and I'm struggling. And I don't understand, like, how is it that you can consistently come to worship and you pray and you read and you study, you serve, but there's an area of your faith you don't really work out. Like when you face a battle, battle, like you've been through stuff. Like, we all got testimonies, like you've been through stuff. So when you see a certain battle, you say, I know what that is, because I normally work that. I know what it's like to be short on change. I know what it's like to kind of deal with haters. I know what it's like when certain things come against, because I'm used to those battles. But you're not used to health issues. You know, you fight haters, but you wasn't prepared for haters in your house. That's a different battle. You know how to deal with problems, but not these size problems. I mean, you know how to deal with a deficit, but not with that extra zero. I don't know how to deal with that kind of debt. Like that's, you know, and so all of a sudden, you being worked out in an area that you don't normally, you in a new battle. Have anybody ever faced a new battle? And you not weak by no stretch of the imagination. Like you not soft, you not tender by no stretch of the imagination. But one of the things that you're going through is you're going through a new battle. You're going through something you ain't never seen before. I give the story. I remember when I went from high school to college. And when I went from high school to college, my mentality coming in as a freshman is, I just need to find out who the starter is in my position, and I'm going to take his spot, right? I'm going to take his spot because when I left where I just came from, I'm number one. So imagine when you go to college, everybody was number one where they came from. That's why we here, right? But when you come to college, there arises a new number one. and then you start realizing, wait a minute, the landscape is different. And so I remember when I went to college, and so I remember asking around. I said, hey, who started? Who they got looking at number one? And it was a guy named George, and George was a senior, and I was a freshman. And when George came in for tour-a-days, George came in out of shape. George came in and he really didn't train over the summer, and the coaches were getting on him. I kind of saw it. I had trained all summer. I said, I got old boy. I got him. I get it. I wouldn't even worry about the other people if I'm going for the spot, you know? And so I'm there. And so first day of practice. And when George showed up in some Timberlands. George was like 240. And he kind of walked like this and came in. I was like, oh, I got George. George, his mind ain't right. I don't know what he went through, but his mind ain't right. And so we come to the first day of practice, and George is kind of horsing around. And I'm thinking, once they see my skills, and then they see I'm going to be jumping ahead. I ain't really know George like that. I know competition. I was number one where I came from. I know competition. I know how to fight for it. We get in, and coach blows the whistle, and George goes. And it's just a drill. It's just a drill. And George starts doing the drill. And my face is, you telling me this is the outer shape, George? I looked at his feet. He was moving so fast. I said, oh. And then I saw his backup. And I saw his footwork. They don't move like this where I come from. At the end of practice, I went back to my dorm and I called my father. And I said, Daddy, I gotta practice. Because I ain't never seen this speed before. Like, I think I was fast, but this was another. What I'm saying is, have you ever faced a new battle with new enemies on a whole nother level? And right now, as you sitting here this morning, you scared. Because you don't know how to win. You a Christian. You believe in Jesus Christ, but you ain't never seen this one before. And you don't know how to overcome. Normally, you know what you would do? You would step in and take over, and you would just kind of handle it, because that's how you normally solve problems. Matter of fact, most people call you when they in trouble. because they know you know how to step in and fix it. Have you ever been called to help somebody in trouble and you showed up and you was like, you know, like your kid asked you to help with the homework. And you're like, we didn't do this math. You're going to have to Google that because I don't know. We both going to learn today because I don't know what you're doing. You're going to fail if I have to help you. You know what I'm saying? It's a new problem. It's a new issue. With that mindset, now we enter into Deuteronomy chapter 20. Right? So if you have your Bibles, I want you to look. And now let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 20. And now God is addressing a people who have been slaves all their life. They've been slaves all of their life, and now God has to prepare them for victory. You're going to win, but if you don't take my advice, you're going to lose. God will set you up for victory, but you got to listen to me. And I'm going to tell you how to fight something that don't look like it's winnable. Amen? Here we are in Deuteronomy chapter 20. I'm beginning at verse 1. You're not fighting yet. You're not fighting yet. You're going to fight. And can I say this right here? Don't think that you're going to go through any year without a fight. Every season has a battle. If you're tired of fighting battles, this series is not for you, because the series is called If You Don't Want to Fight, Then There Can Never Be a Victory. The road to victory and staying victorious is not only fending off and fighting off the enemy, but also defending once you have the crown. I want you to think about a boxer. In order for a boxer to be a champion, he has to fight a certain amount of people to get to a victorious place. And then when he gets to that place, then he has to turn around and now defend his belt. What I'm saying is, you never stop fighting. If you win the belt and if you win the crown and you choose not to fight anymore, do you know in boxing, they give a boxer so much amount of time to recover from the last battle and to announce the next battle. If that boxer fails to do that, do you know in boxing, they take your belt away from you? Because they say, you can't just win that battle and then sit on it. You gotta keep fighting if you're gonna keep the belt. If you choose not to keep fighting, we take it from you. You know how many Christians, you won that last battle, and then you shut the door and cut the lights off and close the blinds and say, I think that's it. I think I'm waiting on Jesus to return. Do you know that you have 20 more years of battles? Some of you have 35 more years worth of battle. Some of you have 10 more years. Somebody said, say it ain't so, Jesus. I done been through so much. I done already been through. And you know what we do? We say, because of what I went through, I shouldn't have to go through any more. No. Sometimes the battles, the enemy sees how you won and gives you a new battle. Because the old battles didn't win. Because what is Satan trying to do? He's trying to take your crown. You know what happens in Christianity? When you give your life to Jesus Christ and you get baptized, Jesus gives you the crown. You don't feel like you're victorious, but all your sins have been washed away. You've received mercy and grace, and the blood of Jesus Christ has now covered you, and you now have the crown. And Satan steps up and says, okay, it's time for me to take it. The rest of your Christian walk is not you trying to get heaven. It's you fending off the Satan from trying to take it from you. And what he wants you to quit. He wants to hit you so hard that you quit. So God is talking to Israel. I got to get you ready. Y'all ready? I got to get you ready. I got to get you prepared. So God is talking to Israel, and he says this in verse 1. When you go out to battle against thine enemies, and I know what's going on. You see them horses. Church, say horses. Yeah, you see them horses. And you don't just see the horses, you see them chariots. Amen. Thank you. You see them chariots. You see it. And you just don't see them chariots. And you see the people. I want you to get it in your spirit. There are them horses, them chariots, and them people. These are not your friends. God says, I know you got enemies. You got a lot of enemies. And you see them horses, you see them chariots, and you see them, can I say it again? I like saying it. You see them horses, you see them chariots, and you see them people. Now, you didn't see horses before. You know what a chariot looked like. You didn't see them people. The problem is, and the reason why this is new, is because you ain't never faced this many before. Look at the text. When you go out to battle against our enemy and you see horses, chariots, and people that are more than you. See, normally when you fight, you may do like a one-on-one. If you got skills, maybe like a 3-on-1 because you can handle it. But you showed up and you said, what? And there's too many of them. And you said to yourself, I'm going to lose. See, how you feel is based upon what you see. So God is addressing, if we're talking about victory, God has to first address your vision. You're a Christian, but you make decisions on what you see. I was talking to a couple, and they were an older couple, and they were struggling in their marriage. And the reason why they were struggling in their marriage is because, and it was this past weekend, their son died 3 months ago. That's a lot. Their son died 3 months ago, and they were struggling. And the wife was struggling. And the husband was trying to handle it the best way he knew how. And this weekend, they just sent their other son off to college. They got joy. They got sorrow. They got each other. And they ain't never been here before. What I'm saying is, this is a new battle. Have you ever said to yourself, this is a lot? God, this, I can't. You almost let it slip out of your mouth. God, I can't do this. You telling God that what he's allowing you to go through, that you can't do it. And God is your supplier. And you're telling the source of your strength, I don't think, God, you have enough. You got to be careful what you say. You got to be careful what you say, because you're talking to the one who has all, and you're telling the one who has all, this is a lot. And it is a lot. And you can feel yourself breaking down. And it's in your chest, and you can't breathe. And you're on the verge of breaking down and crying because it's a lot. And when people ask you how you doing, you can't start because you don't know where to start, because it's just, I got a lot going inside and on the outside, and this is happening and that's happening, and it's a lot. And she was talking to me, and she said, their son died violently. That's another thing. And they're going through that. And she said, I don't understand why people do the things that, I don't even think people change. She's trying to make sense. People don't change. And before I could say anything, the husband spoke and said, that's not true. She said, what? He said, that's not true. People do change. He says, because I'm not the same. He said, I used to be a certain type of way, but I don't do that no more. He said, so I just look at myself. He looked at his wife and said, honey, I'm better than I was. And then it dawned on her like, but what's going on in their mind is he's on his journey and she's on her journey. They're not on the same journey. He's grieving and she's grieving, and the son got his own weight. They're trying to manage. They're trying to stay together, trying not to lose their mind. They still got life to go through. Sometimes what I'm trying to say is, it's a lot of horses and it's a lot of chariots. It's just a lot of people. I just wish it wasn't so many people that I would fight. It's just a lot of people that it's a lot of stuff that I gotta deal with. And I know in your mind, based upon what you see, you lost your strength. Have you ever opened the mail and just lost all strength? Have you ever opened up a bill and said, Lord, I can't do no more? Have you ever got a phone call or have you ever got an email and it was something else? Have you ever had something just come out the blue? And you're like, what is it now? He says, when you see this, you're going to see it, and it's going to look like a lot. I know you're looking at your life right now, and it looks like a lot. I know you're looking at the problem, and you look like, I don't think this ever going to turn around. We sung a song not too long ago, like, maybe it's always going to be like this. And the angels are whispering, that's a lie, because nothing stays the same. Trouble can't even last long. Trouble got to go on vacation sometime. You got to ask trouble in your life when your next break. You know you're working too hard. You've been working real. You've been doing. You did good this season, but you need a vacation. Even storms need to break. They can't last. So there's a lie in your head that's saying you will have to deal with this for the rest of your life. It's a lie. It's not true. You won't always have to face this. And even if you still have to fight, it'll be changed a little bit because nothing stays the same. He says, so this is what happens. When you go out and you're going to see the enemy, you're going to see a whole lot. I know what you're going to see, so I need you to trust me. Whenever it looks like a whole lot, let's listen to the instruction. Don't listen to me. Let's listen to the instructions of God to his people. Amen. The Bible says, and the people are more than you. He says, be not afraid of them. Right? Now, you may not shout. This may hit you tomorrow. This may hit you next month. The first response that Jesus tells is, when you see the enemy and you see everything that you're facing and you've assessed all of your problems, the be not afraid is not something that you do externally. So what God is telling Israel to do is fix your spirit. Fear comes from translation. I want to say that again for those of you taking notes. Fear comes from translation, right? When a baby sees a lion, it goes toward it. Ooh, it wants to grab it. It's the adults that look, translate it, and say, and grab and run. The child has no fear. Children are taught fear, right? Don't touch that. It's going to burn. We're going to touch it. Find out. Let's find out today. Let's find out today. You're not listening. Let's find out. Let's find out if it's hot. Right? The child has no fear. And so what God is teaching is you're going to have to do some inner work. You're walking around scared because you saw something and then you defined what you saw. Be careful of your self-talk. You will talk yourself right out of God's divine help. Sometimes God stacks the odds against you so he can show out. You walk off the battlefield and he say, where are you going? I'm just about to show out. And you say, God, I can't do it. It wasn't for you. The battle is not yours. It's mine. But I want to work through you. You looked at what you saw and you got scared and walked off. And now I got to go find somebody else because I still feel like showing out tonight. Don't quit. And so he says, don't be afraid. So then you got to understand where fear comes from. Fear comes from my definitions. And the reason why you wake up fearful and you walk all day fearful and you go to bed fearful and you're scared and you don't know and you're stressing and the anxiety is because of your definitions. When you get through some things and you gain experience, you say, oh, I didn't see that. Oh, we're going to be all right. It's the beautiful thing versus skill versus wisdom. Skill, you may learn how to do a lot of things, but wisdom says, oh, we only do all that for that because that ain't going that ain't even nothing. That ain't going to last, and everything that glitter ain't gold. Don't run after that. Wisdom says, no. That's all bark. Be concerned about bite. That ain't got no bite in it. So ignore the sound. And so when we talk about fear also comes from not trusting who you're with. Right? Not trusting who you're with. So if an enemy come in and I look at the person that's with me, I'm like, I'm by myself. You can have a lot of people next to you and you by yourself. You can have 10 people with you, but you look at yourself like, I'm going to have to fight alone. They going to block a lot of the hits, but really I'm going to be the one that's going to have to fight. You can just be with you and another person, and that's a whole team by itself. You get that side, I got that side, let's go. And you don't even have as many people, but just having the right person next to you, having the right partner next to you can make all the world of a difference. You can feel like, we can take on the world. You had a wrong person next to you, you feel alone. I got to do this by myself. Because what's the point? Yeah, you understand? So he says, listen, don't be afraid of them. Why? For the Lord thy God is what? So God is saying, I know you see the odds, but I need you to know I'm here. You know what part of the battle is? The battle is what you see versus who you know and who you're with. If you know who's with you, then you don't allow what you see to stop you. So when the doctor comes in the room and he says, this is what it is, that's what I see. Now I got to take what I see and line it up to who I know I'm with, right? When it looks like everything is falling apart and nothing is working and you feeling like you're not useful, you feeling like you're not valuable, you feeling like you're not making a difference and you're trying your best and you're trying to teach and you're trying to be an example and you're trying to provide and you don't know if anybody's even really seeing your work or really appreciate and you just want to make you feel like, what's the point? That's what you see. Have you ever had somebody just come out of the blue and say, hey, I just want to let you know when you did that thing, it changed my life? And you say, what? And you got to put your slip in because you was about to quit. You got to put your slip up. So okay, now say that again. I did what? Oh, what you did? You changed my life. When you do that, hey, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what I'm doing. I didn't feel like I was doing anything. I didn't feel like I was making a difference. I didn't feel like anybody was listening. I didn't feel like anybody cared. When I was growing up, my father would bring us in the living room. It was 4 of us, so we would all sit. My father would bring out a board, and he would be teaching about Christ. Teaching about Christ. And we over there fidgeting, playing. He said, I didn't think y'all was listening. Like I was listening. He said, I didn't think y'all was listening. He said, I was trying to give y'all God, but I didn't know if it was taken. Sometimes you don't know, because it don't look like it. And you about to make a spiritual decision off of something that's physical. And God isn't physical. God is spiritual. Somebody said, I don't see God. You got to understand, you looking in the wrong place. That's why you never try to scratch a spiritual itch with physical hands. You'll never reach it. You'll never reach it. So he says, listen, the confidence that I want you to have, I'm with you. So stop telling people how big it is, how wide it is, how much trouble. Stop talking about how much debt you in. Stop talking about how many people hate you. Stop talking about how long the line is. Because he says that doesn't matter if I'm with you, because I'm everything you need. All right? Then he goes on and he says, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt. We're in verse 2. And the Bible says, and it shall be when you are come close unto the battle. Now, before we go any further, I want to make sure we break this down. Horses represent power. Sometimes people say, how many horsepower, right? Horses are powerful. So one of the things that you're looking at is you're looking at how much power the enemy has. Don't make a decision based on that. And then he says, I know you're looking at the chariots. And as you're looking at the chariots, chariots represent ability. Chariots represent ability. And what you're looking at is they can do things I can't do because they have all of that. They have all of that. And so don't make decisions based upon your enemy's power, and don't make decisions on your enemy's ability to do certain things that maybe you don't have access to. And the third thing they were looking at was men. And so the problem with us is we count people as confirmation. If 10 people don't like you, you must be the devil. Somebody said, well, why am I looking at the devil? Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, look, there's enough people, then we count people as confirmation, right? One of the signs that an artist is successful is that when they drop an album, when so many people buy it, we say they're great. They tour all over. They get tours, they get commercials, they get all of it, not realizing that Milli Vanilli. what you didn't realize with Milli Vanilli is it wasn't real. So here's what the enemy will put in your face. Everybody's buying the house but you. Everybody has a new car. You see the little tags all over here. You driving, everybody got new tags. Everybody got a new car, but you. All your friends got new countertops in their kitchen, but you. Everybody got Prada and Louis Vuitton, but you. Everybody's going on these vacations. How come you didn't have your best girl summer? Everybody's getting married. Everybody's in love, but you. Everybody's pregnant, but you. And so you start counting. Are you looking at the people? I know what you're doing. You're looking at the people, and you're looking at the people for confirmation. And you think that all of those people that gathered there, that doesn't make doctrine right just because everybody says amen to it. Just because everybody shows up and it looks like a whole lot of people over there, then what we say is, then that must be right. Do you know some people in religion right now? They're not looking at the word of God. They're counting the people. And wherever the people is, then they say, well, then God must be over there. You don't study God then. Because God is telling Israel, I know they're going to be more than you, and you got to be okay with that. If you feel like you always have to be in the crowd, you're going to lose your victory. Because many of them will go that way. And many of them will sign up. And many of them will take the pill. And then 6 months later, if you have taken and you have... if your left eyeball is twitching and there's hair on the back of your knee, please call. He said, I was wondering. I'm braiding that thing. What's happening to me? And you didn't take in some things because everybody said, that's what you do. Everybody said, hey, that was okay. Do you know how many recalls? And everybody jumped on the bandwagon. Don't always follow the crowd. Jesus knows this to be true because as he was on his way to Calvary, he looked around. He said, where the crowd at? Where is everybody? The road to Calvary only got a few people. But the road to Calvary is where salvation is. So if you're doing things just based upon what everybody else is doing, then you're not following God. You're following men, and you're using men as confirmation. You need people to like your picture. You need people to comment. You need people to say something because you're getting your confirmation by people. During the pandemic, there were some preachers that were preaching through the camera. There were some preachers preaching through the camera, and they were struggling. And the reason they said they were struggling is because they couldn't have people speak back to them. And I kind of struggled with that. Because when I first started preaching, there wasn't nobody in the seat. So when I first started preaching, I learned to talk to the Lord. And sometimes in those early services, sometimes it'd be like 5 people in the audience and like 2 of the kids asleep and there was an adult over there that passed out. Well, I studied, so I'm going to finish this lesson. And then we going to wake up, right? Let us together. And I would say, let us together stand and then preach another 20 minutes because you would sleep on me. I'll preach another 20 minutes because I'm going to finish this lesson. I've learned I'm okay if you don't say nothing. Because I know it's true. Or I've studied it to know that, hey, I know what I'm standing on. Sometimes people don't like what you say, so they won't confirm you. And you're simply changing your faith, you're changing your belief, you're changing your conviction because you didn't get enough people in your family to say, hey, I think that's great you starting your business, or hey, I think you should go that way. And because you didn't get enough confirmation, sometimes the only person that confirms you is Jehovah. So after I tell you that this is what you're supposed to do, why did you get on the phone and call everybody and ask them, what do you think? I just told you. I'm enough. Sister got dressed, and she got her hair done. She got her clothes. She did her makeup. She got everything lined up. She got her shoes right. She got the jergens for the ankles and everything. Got everything. You know what I'm saying? You got to get it. You got to get it. Ash is a sin. Ashiness is a sin. She got all around in the spots and everything, and she started going on, and she was on her way to meet her man. She was on her way to meet her man, and she was walking. And as she was walking, there was a gentleman on the side. He said, "Oh, you look nice today." She said, "Thank you so much." And she just kept on walking. And as she kept on walking through the place, another man said, "Oh, that's a beautiful dress." She said, "Okay, thank you." She's going around, and there was two ladies said, "Girl, you are doing it today." She said, "Oh, thank y'all so much. Oh, bless you, bless you." And she moved on, and she going on, and she finally got to her man, and then she said, because the only comment that she really needed and was the only comment that's going to make the evening. She received a whole bunch of comments on her way, and that's cool, that's nice. But because of her love, the only comment that's going to make the day is when she pulled up and he said, "Oh, you look beautiful today." And in her mind, she said, "I'm done. I don't need." Why are we not like that with God? How come when God speaks to us and we'll read the word, we still need something else? We still need somebody else to tell us, you doing good? If you serving God, ain't the smile in heaven, shouldn't that be enough? That should be enough. Do you know how many preachers quit because enough people didn't say amen? Sometimes preachers get mad. They say, y'all not gonna say nothing? No, we ain't. We hurting. That point hurt. I can't talk right now. What's the point of me getting mad? You're not the audience. You're not the audience. And so we talked about this morning, that you prepare yourself before God this morning. That we all should give our best in worship unto God. So God is telling the people, he said, listen, I'm here. And I want to tell you this, we're in verse 2, and it shall be, when you come close to the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people. Can I get the second part? We're going to get to verse 4 and we're going to close. He said this. What I want you to do when you see the horses and the chariots and you see the people, don't count. One of the sins of David is that the Bible says that the devil tempted David to count the people. And when he counted the people, God punished. That's what you counting for. I'm your confirmation. I'm all you need. What are you looking for something else for when I'm here? And David got punished for it. So he says, when you see Don't have any fear. Know who you're with. Check your inner talk. Check how you speak to yourself. Get the fear and trust in the one who knew it to carry it through. Sometimes God doesn't change what you see. He confirms his presence in you. Sometimes God wants it to look like you're outnumbered. That makes for the best fight. It makes for the best fight. So he says, listen, so then he says, when you get close to the battle, then the priest will come. So don't miss the second part for your victory. Then the priest will come. What the priest gonna do? We in verse 3. When the priest show up and shall say unto them, hear, O Israel, you approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint. Fear not. It's a good sermon. We're reading it. It's an awesome sermon. Read it again. Let not your hearts faint. Fear not. And then he says this. Control your body and don't you sit up there and tremble. A part of the victory is getting yourself together. Get your posture right. They're coming against your family. They're coming against your marriage. They're coming against your children. They're coming against your life. They're trying to take your stuff. Get your posture together. And walk outside and face it. Any real man in the room, if you got somebody coming to your house threatening your family, you don't send your kids out there. Then you go in there, you talk to them, you tell them that. You don't send your kids out there. If somebody coming to threat, you tell everybody get inside and you go outside and you handle it. And you don't go out, what y'all doing? What y'all doing? All your kids that lost confidence here. Daddy, come on. Daddy, come on. Please, Daddy. Get up, Daddy. Daddy, get up. Daddy. Close the door. We can't do nothing. Right? If there's a threat, you don't go out there trembling. Your posture is set toward the sun. Let's go. And we will face whatever that needs to be because I know who I'm with. God, give me the strength to fight this battle. He said, let not your hearts faint, fear not, do not tremble, and neither be terrified because of them. I know it looks a certain way, but don't let what you see change how you feel. Have you ever seen somebody stubbornly on faith? And they talk in spite of the condition? Well, it's going to be okay because we're just going to pray about it. No, we're going to make it through. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll work it out. No, we're going to work it out. No, we're here. Come here. Come on, let's pray. Come on. Come on. No. Bring it in. No. Satan won't win. Satan won't win. Let's pray. No, we're going to pray right now. Let's pray right now. And you get on. And then like, why won't you? And the devil will get tired of it. Why won't you quit? Because I've thrown enough at you where I've seen the average person see this and then they quit. It's the difference between somebody and there's 1 second left and they're down by 2 and they're on the other side. It's what makes them grab the ball and still believe. I think we still got a shot. Sometimes God wants to put you in that position and he wants you to take the shot. Don't just take the ball in and be like, that's the game. No. You still have one more shot. Do you know how many shots that have shocked the world? And people running around in the and they screaming because you were supposed to lose. And when the person takes the shot, they like, Because as long as you still have breath in your body, you got time on the clock, take the shot. You want your life to change and you've been beat up all last week. What I'm saying is this is a brand new week. I want you to get up, stop trembling, and say the life that I believe that God has called us for, I'm going to take the shot one more time. Until God calls my name, I'm going to keep swinging. Keep swinging. Keep swinging. You can't lay it down and quit now. You still got a lot of life to live. You can't quit in the middle of the battle. So that priest, he's preaching. Don't let your hearts faint. Fear not. What you looking in the back? What you trembling for? Neither be ye terrified because of them. Verse 4. We get into verse 4. He said, for the Lord your God is he that goes with you to fight for you and against your enemies. And I need you to understand something. He wants to save you. The Lord gonna fight for you, but he gonna fight for you through you. Right? The Lord, I want to say it again, the Lord gonna fight for you, but he's gonna fight for you through you. So he said, when you get close to the battle, please know I'm there. Show up and let's go. Don't tremble. Don't faint. Go ahead and charge, but just know I'm going to fight for you, but I'm going to fight for you through you. Amen. With that, God is working on their mind. And then verses 3 and 4, God sends a priest to minister to their spirit. If we had to bring it to present day time, it's a brand new week, and you got some new battles. And some of you may even still got some old battles that you still in the midst of fighting. My job as the priest is to tell you, fear not. Don't let your hearts faint. What you trembling for? Because the Lord is with you. And he's going to fight for you. He's going to save you. You just got to keep trusting in God. One of the things that hinders us from being everything that God has called us to be is sin. So what I want to encourage you on this morning, if there's something that you said, something that you've done, or the way that you behaved, it's not you know what kills your confidence? What kills your confidence is when you know you're not walking with God. That's what kills it. And we wondering why you're not confident, because the victory is yours, but you don't feel like the victory because you're not living right. Your boundaries are not appropriate. Your standards are too low. You've compromised on your faith. And what I'm saying this morning is don't let Satan give you snacks when God is preparing dinner. Know what you're losing by reaching for the snacks of Satan. Suffer in righteousness to get the crown. Don't be satisfied receiving the dirt of Satan. So with that, if you know there's anything in your life that's hindering you from seeing God the way you should, we're asking you right now, ask God for forgiveness. If you're here and you're not a Christian, you have the opportunity today to have all your sins washed away. You have the opportunity today that if you'll be willing to believe that Jesus died for you, that he was buried and that he rose again. If you believe in the sacrifice Jesus made when he died on the cross, what he's asking for you to do is he's asking for you to come, repent, change your mind, confess that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Confession is necessary before baptism. Anybody that does not confess, biblically, we're not allowed to baptize you. Somebody runs down and says, I want to give my life to Jesus Christ. We don't just grab them and baptize them. That's spiritually illegal. There's a question that we have to ask before somebody gives their life to Jesus Christ. And the question that we ask is, do you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God? Then we have to wait for their answer. If they believe, then by commandment, he says in Acts 2:38, you need to repent and be baptized, every one of you. No one is exempt. Everybody must be baptized. You can't pray your way to salvation. You can't sing your way to salvation. You can't worship your way to salvation. You can't love your way to salvation. You obey your way to salvation. And by his commandment, he's saying you must be baptized and all your sins will be washed away. In verse 39, he says, this promise is unto you and to your children and all that are far off. The sermon is over. This is the opportunity and this is the time where we ask God, Lord, if there's anything in me that's hindering you from using me, please remove it. Lord, I have no more pride. I leave it all at your feet. And Lord, I just want to be right with you.
The Lord is praying for his church, that we might all be one, that we might all be one. Oh, that we might all be one. Oh, that we might all be one. Say the Lord.